Beating Batman Arkham Asylum without countering was super easy. Beating Arkham City without countering was impossible, and I had to counter 74 times to finish the game. But today, I won't be playing either of those games. Today, I will be attempting to beat Batman Arkham Origins without countering. While this intro cutscene of Batman preparing to go stop an attack by Black Mask on Blackgate Prison is playing, let me explain this challenge a little bit more. The goal is to not counter, which is kind of obvious, but that can go one of two ways. I could succeed and not have to counter at all, but that might not be the case, and if it's not the case, I will be bringing back the counter from my Arkham City video, and just trying to beat the game with the smallest amount of counters as possible. And I mean, with that preamble out of the way, let's get right into the game. As soon as I walked into the prison, I ran straight into the warden, being escorted by one of Black Mask's men, and he swung a bat at me, and letting the bat hit me doesn't work. The game doesn't let me continue without countering this bat. So yeah, that didn't take long at all, and our counter has arrived and is already at 1. Then, I had to counter the warden as well, which is quite rude of him, but now I can continue through the prison and hopefully it'll be a while before the counter goes up anymore. It didn't take long for me to find some people that probably deserve to get punched in the head, and I started punching at them. Combat without countering was a bit of a struggle at the start of the run here, because it's been a little while since the last time I've done a no counters challenge, but I managed to get through the fight without too much trouble and continue through the prison, where I saw Killer Croc, aka a Goomba from the 1993 Mario movie, aka Waylon Jones, aka Killer Cock. So I'm gonna go chase after him. The chase led me to an execution chamber, where Calendar Boy, it's Calendar Boy because it's a prequel. This game's a prequel, so he's Calendar Boy, not Calendar Man. He was set to be executed anyway, but instead of him getting executed, Black Mask has decided to just execute the police commissioner instead. I tried to save him, but as I said, this is a prequel, so I'm just not good enough or fast enough yet. So Commissioner Loeb is dead. I continued chasing Black Mask and Croc up to the roof, where Black Mask escaped and Killer Cock stayed behind, because it's just about time for a boss fight. The most concerning part of the fight was when he tried to bite my face off. I was worried that I was going to have to counter this, but I just have to mash the spacebar to escape. So this fight is not going to cause us any further counters. Once I punched Croc until he fell over, Captain Gordon and his GCPD buddies tried to arrest me, so I jumped off a cliff that coincidentally had the Batwing under it. So that was lucky, and I just flew back to the Batcave to see what I have to do next. While he was dangling off a cliff, I'm pretty sure Waylon mentioned something about some assassins that Black Mask has sent to kill me. So I pressed the button on the back computer to play the MP4, hyping up all of the 8 assassins that have been hired to kill me. Alfred offered me Christmas dinner, because this is a Christmas game, and I'm just realizing now that I probably should have made this video for Christmas, but it's too late now anyway. F the Christmas dinner, I'm just gonna go smash some heads together. My only lead on the assassins is that the Penguin almost definitely knows something about it. But he's gonna have to wait, because someone is messing with my little radio towers, and I have to go fix them. When I arrived, the game decided to teach me how to do Predator encounters, and Predator encounters don't involve any countering, so they're pretty much completely irrelevant to this challenge. I also set up a crime scene and did some investigating to find out that the key card I saw behind a grate is in fact behind the grate I saw it behind. So I picked it up and fixed the sabotage that's been done to this tower. Riddler is the person behind this, but who cares? I don't need these fast travel towers anyway, so I'm just gonna let him continue whatever plots and or schemes that he's plotting and or scheming and go on uninterrupted. The Penguin is a hard man to find, so I flew over to a spot where some of his close personal friends are doing the legal weapons trade, and I ambushed them. One of them is called Loose Lips, so once I've thinned out the rest of them, that's gotta be the one that I target. I dangled him off the side of a building and stole his phone, then threw him off the building. Don't worry, he's not dead though. He landed safely on a Christmas tree, so he is absolutely fine. And now that I have Loose Lips' phone, I just dropped by a couple of relay locations and triangulated the Penguin's signal. He's on a boat, so I guess I'm gonna go be on a boat as well. There was a quick little predator encounter on top of the boat, but once I cleared that out, I went into the boat and found some enemies with knives. And just like in my Arkham City no counters video, I will not be allowing myself to use blade dodges on top of countering. But that doesn't really matter because these guys can definitely still be punched in the head, so I just did that to take care of them. I had to look through the menus after that to look at what I need to do to unlock Free Flow Focus, because Free Flow Focus is awesome and makes combat way easier. Unfortunately though, to get it, I need to level the Shadow Vigilante track of the Dark Knight system to level 3, and level 1 of it is to counter 5 times, so I'm just not going to be able to unlock Free Flow Focus in this playthrough. I continued to fight through Penguin's flightless bird enthusiasts until I heard a British accent, and that needs to be investigated. The source of the Britishness is one of Penguin's assistants, Tracy, but investigating the British noises led me to a giant arena, and Electrocutioner is here. And I would think of a joke to tell about Electrocutioner, but he's enough of a joke by himself, so I'll just let him sit this one out. There are a bunch of other people that I have to kill, I mean, beat within an inch of their lives here as well. And the whole combat without countering thing is going pretty well. I am kind of playing this game on easy, but that's not so much because of the combat, but because there's a boss fight coming up soon where I'm going to have to counter. And being on a hard difficulty would mean that I would have to counter way more times. So for that reason, I have to play the game on easy. Deeper in the ship, I came face to face with Tracy, and she swung her bat at me. The counter prompt appeared, I didn't counter, and the game didn't make me counter, so that's just wonderful. She pointed me towards Oz, so I walked where she pointed me and beat some information out of our little flightless friend. He says that there's been a murder over at Lacey Towers, and Black Mask is involved. So, I left to go pursue that. But Deathstroke is here, and he doesn't like the idea of me leaving now, so I'm gonna have to deal with Deathstroke. And that's a bit of an issue, because you have to counter a lot in this fight. The first little bit wasn't too bad, and it only added 5 counters to the counter. But then he started doing this little rapid countering thing, just like Ra's al Ghul did back in Arkham City, and it took me 18 more counters to stop it, bringing the total to 25. The fight continued, with 9 more counters before the next beatdown, which is higher than last time, but in my defense, I had to get through more of his health to get to it this time. And this beatdown was about as disastrous as the last one, and brings the total up to 52. But I'm most of the way through this ugly little bitch's health bar, so hopefully things won't get too much worse, because 52 is getting dangerously close to overtaking the 74 counters from Arkham City. This next section was intense. He just wouldn't stop trying to sword me with his stab, and even though I managed to deal some damage by attacking him with my back claw, I had to counter another 15 times before the next beatdown, where I suffered another 20 counters. And thankfully, that was the last of the countering for this fight. But for the mathematically inclined, you may have realized that our total isn't looking so good, because this fight has taken us up to a total of 87 counters, making this the most counter-heavy Arkham game yet. We just have to hope that things don't get any worse before the credits roll. We can move on now though. So, I went over to Lacey Towers and started investigating. There's a lot here to investigate. There are a couple people taking naps, some impact zones, and there was a fire at some point, and also some penguin flipper prints. I pieced most of it together, I think, but there are some missing pieces. So I'm going to have to go to the GCPD building and hack into the National Criminal Database to get some DNA evidence for this whole situation. At the GCPD, I started off being all sneaky and stealthy and quiet and sneaky, and I overheard that the bounty out on my head isn't just for the assassins anymore, it's for the cops as well. Then I started being all violent because these guys were in sore need of a swift headbutt to put them back in line. I mean, trying to cash the bounty on me? That's not good police work. I might even go as far to say that it's bad police work. They're kind of being all corrupt and trying to cash the bounty on me. It's just not good. And they honestly deserve whatever it is I do to them. Then there was a big predator room for me to clear out, another big fight against people not in a predator room, and even a new gadget for me to pick up. Then, finally, I was able to make it to the server room, where Oracle, but with working legs, helped me hack into the National Criminal Database. To finish off the hack though, I need to leave and start wandering around the sewers to press some buttons. When I got up to the roof on my way out of the building, I ran into Gordon and started chatting with him. But we were interrupted when a bunch of his co-workers started shooting at us, so I flew away to let him deal with that by himself. Down in the sewers, there are like a heap of explosives and stuff, but that's not my main concern. I'm much more worried about the new martial artist enemy type. Countering them is a big part of fighting them, but there are some other ways to take them out without countering. My go-to for now is to grapple them with my back claw and give them a healthy whack in the head. And I fought a couple different groups of enemies while I was fighting in the sewers outside of this first group. But I did eventually manage to get to the buttons I need to push, and I pushed the shit out of those buttons and finished piecing together the whole Lacey Towers murder thing. It turns out that the sleeping guy wearing a black mask on the floor is not Black Mask. He's a decoy, and the real Black Mask is with the murderer. And that murderer is the Joker. And the reason that Roman has been taken hostage has probably got something to do with the fact that he owns a whole ass bank. So kidnapping him is very useful for bank robbing purposes. So I left the sewers to head over to the bank and put an end to the Joker's schemes. On my way out, I was very cordially invited to a party by some rabbit men, but it's Mad Hatter's party, and the Mad Hatter is weird, and he's ugly, and unpleasant, and short. Oh, and also a murderer, so I won't be attending his party. When I got to the bank, I found Black Mask with his hostage, who is also Black Mask, which that doesn't make a whole heap of sense, but that's because the Black Mask that isn't a hostage is the Joker. It was him the whole time at Blackgate Prison, and he hired the assassins and everything. So I guess I'm dealing with the Joker, not Black Mask now. I would have gone ahead and tried to take him out, but an explosion made me take a nap, and when I woke up, the Joker was nowhere to be found. There are some people still here though, and they want to kill me. But I'm way better at this game than they are, and my no countering can't hold me back because no one thinks to throw punches at me when they all have guns. Once I finish dealing with all that, I followed Joker and Black Mask to Sionis Steel Mill, where hopefully I'll be able to prevent the death of Black Mask and put an end to all of the Joker's silly little shenanigans. Inside the mill, I fought through the most creatively costumed thugs ever invented. Get this, they're Black Mask's men, but instead of wearing black masks, they're wearing clown masks. Because they're Joker's men now. And that's just absolutely genius. Bravo, Warner Brothers Montreal, bravo. I followed the Joker's men through the facility until I arrived at a big Predator room that I took out without much stress, just like I've done with every other Predator room. Then I went and said hello to Black Mask, and I need some information from him. I was about to do some pacemaker fuckery to him, but then Copperhead attacked me, and her whole thing is poison, so I'm poisoned now, and that's an issue because her poison is poisonous, and if I don't get unpoisoned, I will be permanently horizontal. I sent a sample of the poison to Alfred so that he can make an anti-poison, and started leaving the steel mill so that I can receive the anti-poison in an airdrop, but Copperhead has decided that she wants to finish me off, so I have to do a whole boss fight against her now. And I'm able to hold my own here pretty well. There are a lot of Copperheads attacking me, so I'm pressing the dodge button a lot, and after a long time of doing that, the anti-poison came crashing through the roof. So I stuck it right into my blood and detained Copperhead like a good little vigilante. She accidentally let slip that the assassins are all meeting in the same place, with Joker, and I have the ability to track down the electromagnetic frequency of the electrocutioner's gloves, and that frequency points right towards the Gotham Royal Hotel. So I started heading over there, my game crashed, I reopened it, and continued heading over to the hotel. The cops are teaming up with the Joker to lock down the hotel, which is definitely not very professional of them. So I had to fight through a bunch of them to get inside the hotel. And once I'm inside, there's a room full of armed henchmen for me to take out in the lobby before I can get into the security room and have a look at the cameras. And those cameras, they are very interesting. Joker is up in the penthouse with all of his assassins, and they're getting along really, really well. Unfortunately, Electrocutioner just accidentally fell out a window and landed all the way down here in the lobby, which was very kind of him because now I can start using his gloves for all sorts of things. For example, turning this elevator on to start moving up the hotel towards the penthouse to take out the Joker. Making my way up through the hotel wasn't too difficult. The hardest group of enemies that I had to fight was this little group, because they're martial artists, and they are definitely one of the most annoying enemies to beat in this game without countering. I also went through this beautifully renovated ballroom full of hostages, and I have to save them by doing little puzzles whether I want to do them or not. Once I finished dealing with all that, I found a bunch of explosives set to go off on New Year's Eve. And we can't have New Year's Eve ruined like that, so I set the bombs to go off in 25 seconds instead, and jumped out a window and onto the bottom of a helicopter to escape the blast. Then I had to fight some enemies from the helicopter's POV, and that's a bit annoying, but it is a pretty cool way for Batman to be revealed to the public, so I'll tolerate it. And once they were finished being beaten into a state where they wish I'd killed them, I headed up an elevator and into the penthouse to deal with Joker. Bane said hello first though, and he was going to make me take a very long nap, but Joker wants to talk to me first. The conversation was unfortunately interrupted when he blew up a building and I started beating him. But Bane is still here and he's decided that he wants to fight me, starting the first Bane boss fight of the game. And I mean, once he turns his Venom on, I don't have the ability to counter any of his attacks anyway, so not countering isn't really an issue here, it's just fighting the boss normally. And after spending the whole game up to this point dodging non-stop, dodging Bane's attacks in this fight was pretty trivial. I mean, I lost almost all of my health, but other than that, it was pretty trivial. And I would have been able to take him out, but Alfred called in Gordon to help me, and that led to Bane getting away. Joker didn't get away though. Joker got knocked off the hotel and started plummeting down like Electrocutioner before him. But I caught him. The game thankfully didn't make me counter when he tried to punch me, so I chewed on his fist a little before landing and starting a bunch of cinematics and plot stuff. We have the Joker getting arrested and sent to Blackgate, where he seduces Harley Quinn. Then I get to play through the Joker's tragic backstory, then play through Batman's tragic backstory, and finally arrive back at the Batcave. My next thing to do is tracking down Bane. There's a body that sounds a lot like his body in the GCPD morgue right now, so I'm gonna check that out. Alfred really doesn't want me to do that, but I don't care about his opinion, and I hope a big rock falls on him, so I just left the Batcave to find Bane, regardless of what he thinks about it. I went through the sewer entrance to get into the station this time around, which you would think would be less guarded, but there are plenty of people protecting this manhole cover with every fiber of their being anyway. Once they were dealt with though, I made my way through the sewer tunnels until I got to the morgue. And the body is definitely not Bane, but scanning the body reveals that Venom causes memory loss if you take it in a high dosage, which definitely isn't foreshadowing anything at all. And now that I've checked the morgue, I have to check Bane's evil lair, because that might also be a spot he's staying. And if he's not there, I guess I'll just give up and go home. The lair wasn't particularly well guarded, to be honest. Like, there are a handful of people trying to stop me from getting in, but there aren't that many, and definitely not enough to make the no countering thing a problem. And I mean, I haven't had to add anything to the counter in quite a while now. So maybe the rest of this run will just be a straight shot to the end. Or it won't be. I guess you'll just have to wait and see. In the lair, I discovered that Bane has acquired a little piece of information that I honestly would have rathered he not have acquired. He knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and he is on his way to my house to go around and mess with all my stuff. So I need to get back there as quickly as possible before he breaks anything. Unfortunately, Firefly has taken this opportunity to start attacking the big bridge in the middle of the map to try to draw me into confronting him. And I'm a superhero, so I guess I should probably go deal with that first. I tried to convince Gordon to stay away and let me deal with this because I'm clearly more qualified than he is. He's not willing to cooperate with that though, so I'm just going to give him the silent treatment and try to defuse the 4 bombs on the bridge by myself. The first bomb is a predator room, so for the purposes of this challenge, it doesn't really matter, and I was able to defuse it nice and easy. Then I rescued Officer Brandon, who's one of those police officers who's been trying to kill me all night. I had to let him punch me in the head because of the no countering thing, but I punched him in the head way harder and moved on to the next bomb room. It's a predator room again, and I cleared this one out really fast because, I mean, there are hostages here, and I care a lot about saving hostages. I defused that bomb, but the door to the next one is locked, so I called Gordon and asked him to open it for me, but he said no, so I guess I'm gonna go to the other remaining bomb instead. Then the floor broke, so now I'm traveling on the outside of the bridge instead of the inside of the bridge. Wasn't really any different, but this third bomb isn't a predator room, so I get to enjoy my combat without countering for a little while this time. It wasn't too difficult, but after I defused the bomb and on my way to the final bomb, I was forced to start fighting through enemies on top of the bridge. And unsurprisingly, that led to Firefly spotting me. So now I have to do the Firefly boss fight. Just gotta hope I don't have to counter at all during it. And the fight, it went really well. It's just a bunch of quick firing the right gadgets at the right times to deal damage. And there were no counters in the first phase of the fight. He did try to detonate the remaining bomb though, but it seems Gordon managed to defuse it while I was busy. So, you know, gold sticker for him. Little gold star. Yeah, good job, Gordon. The second phase of the fight with Firefly, it didn't have any counters either. So this fight is going really, really well for me. Then, right at the end, I have this quick time event to finish the fight, and it's telling me to counter, and I was hoping I would just be able to let Firefly hit me and still continue, like I could do with Officer Brandon and the Joker and Tracy, but that is not the case. I just die if I don't counter here, so finishing off the Firefly fight adds not just one, but two more counters to the counter, bringing us to a new total of 89. I thank Gordon for helping me out, but then Bane called me up and he said he's inside of my house and he's in the middle of killing Alfred, and I really don't want him to do that. So I rushed back to the Batcave where Bane wasn't there, but Alfred was there under a big rock, which is exactly what I said he deserved earlier, but I've changed my mind. So I resuscitated him with my shock gloves, and after I made sure he was alright, I left to deal with another attack on Blackgate Prison, being done this time by the Joker and Bane working together. Getting through the prison had all the different types of combat we've encountered so far. Had a big predator room, but as you'd expect, nothing related to the challenge or countering happened there. Next, there was a room in the cell blocks absolutely packed with people. And you best believe I didn't counter at all during the fight. I'm kind of really good at that. And once they were all done with, it's just a short walk to another room in the cell blocks, absolutely packed with people. And you best believe I didn't counter at all while I was fighting them. I'm kind of really good at that. And once they were all done with, it's just a short walk to the big boss room with Bane and Joker. They have a fun little game set up for me. Joker is sitting on an electric chair, and if I don't kill Bane, it'll go off and kill Joker. Or I could die, I guess. Those are the options. So, I started the second Bane boss fight, and it's pretty similar to the one from earlier. Once again, he's all powered up by the venom, so countering his attacks isn't an option in the first place. In the middle of the fight though, Gordon showed up and he didn't really do anything useful, so he's on the chair with Joker too now. So I may as well fight extra hard and kill Bane to save them both. And I did it. I stopped his heart with my shock gloves. Then the Joker escaped and I resuscitated Bane while he wasn't looking, because I may as well. If I didn't, it would create a bit of a lore problem because he's in Arkham Asylum. So yeah, I had to resuscitate him, unfortunately. Bane wasn't too happy when I resuscitated him though, and he used so much venom that he will definitely forget that Bruce Wayne is Batman, which is convenient. Less conveniently, I have to do a third and final boss fight against him. I just had to sneak around and attack him from the shadows, which sounds easier than it is. He's surprisingly perceptive for such a big guy and threw me away from him a bunch of times, and I nearly ran out of time to beat him, but I managed to beat him just in time by catching him in my line launcher and pinning him in place so the cops can go and do whatever it is they do to people after I finish beating them. Now, to finish the game, I just need to deal with Joker. On the way to him, I got to fight back to back with Gordon, which would have been way cooler if I wasn't in detective mode for most of the fight, but it's still cool, I guess. And after that, it is time to confront the Joker. It starts with a counter prompt. The camera pans around us as he monologues with a gun pointed at my head. For the first time ever playing this game, I'm really listening to what he's saying. And listening to what he's saying, I'm starting to think that maybe he's not going to shoot me after. Never mind then, he definitely was going to shoot me. So, I guess we have to counter here, and also here as well, and if you thought that was it, you're wrong. One more counter, and then it's done. And the total of the counter is now at 92. With those counters done, I beat the ever-loving shit out of the Joker for making me counter those 3 extra times, which I think is exactly how every Batman game should end. Then I disappeared into the night to go lurk on rooftops and stuff. And that is how I attempted to beat Batman Arkham Origins without countering, failed, and ended up countering 92 times anyway. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Insect Liquid for being a member on this channel. If you want to get shouted out at the end of the video like that, hit the join button down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see what I do next, and I'll see you in the next one.